Hello, welcome to the weekly wind-up with myself, Emma Kirke. With 1 in 2 people experiencing cancer diagnosis at some point in their lives, the support that charities are having to give is increasing exponentially. Today I'm joined by Adele and Stacey from Macmillan Charity, and I'm going to ask you for the exact title so I don't say it wrong. What is Macmillan?
It's Macmillan Cancer Support.
Fantastic, thank you. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank
you.
Okay, so we were talking, I said in the intro, about how many people are now 1 in 2 are being diagnosed with cancer. Do you think there's a particular reason? Is it something to do with our lifestyles? What do you think is attributing to that?
Personally, I think more so probably nowadays is that the technology and everything's moved on, so it's getting the symptoms are being recognised sooner, so people are more aware.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. So I think, especially more with, as you say, 1 in 2 people are going to be affected by cancer in their lifetime, but that doesn't necessarily mean maybe what it did some sort of years ago.
Yeah.
Nowadays, even cancers that are incurable,
Yeah.
can be still treatable, so people are living longer with cancer.
And those treatments are getting better as well. So a little bit like Adele says, people are able to live longer, whether that is after surgery or whether they've had treatment or are still undergoing treatment as well.
And the treatments are getting kinder as well, aren't they? You know, people I know who are having treatment are not suffering the same symptomology that they were sort of 10, 15 years ago. Is that because of progression of care or of treatment?
I think looking at speaking as we've sort of discussed and said previously about how treating people as people and not as patients, and making sure that the pathways that are are specifically for that person, rather than just going down a route that is the same for everybody, because everybody is different. So different treatments affect different people in different ways, and I suppose you've got your consultants and the specialists that know which is the right sort of treatment for that particular person. So I think that's really important that as we said, it's people and it's individuals, and we make sure treatment is for that person themselves.
Yeah, and is that part of your jobs to kind of negotiate with the patient as well, so that part of them, what they want, is involved?
So our role is more from a fundraising point of view, from what Adele and I do in our day-to-day roles, but actually Macmillan in general, our nurses and the professionals that work in the hospitals, that is absolutely their role, to talk to the person who has cancer, to find out what their needs are and how we can help and support them in the best way, really. And then to be there the whole way from diagnosis right through surgery, treatment, so that they've got that one person to go back to that they can trust and talk to. So that's really important, and the way that we're trying to work more moving forward, because as we know, like you said, more people are living with cancer, so that's really important for us to make sure that we get that right for the person.
So if I'm diagnosed with cancer, do I immediately see your team?
No, I mean, there is a bit of a preconception that when somebody gets a cancer diagnosis that Macmillan are just there, and unfortunately, that's not the case. It'll come through, a GP or a consultant if we've got a Macmillan professional that's specific to maybe the type of cancer. Right. Our aim is moving forward is in the future is we want to be there at the point of diagnosis for everybody. But we are a charity, and obviously to be able to do that, we have to be able to have the money there to spend to put people in those, in those positions. And when people are diagnosed, they know where to turn. And Macmillan for us is very important that we can offer that support, as Stacey said, right through diagnosis, through the treatment, and even very much the aftercare. People do, cancer doesn't just stop at when you've had your treatment. You've got your afterlife, sort of the time after getting back into work and things like that, and we're there throughout all that. And even years down the line, we can, our support line is fantastic. If you call our support line, they'll be able to advise you, even if it's just maybe a local support group. So there's many different ways from the point of diagnosis all the way through. I know people now that are still being supported by Macmillan many years after their family were affected by cancer. So it isn't just as well for the person, it's the families as well.
Do you think that's a misconception then? Because I think a lot of people associate Macmillan with end of life. And obviously what you're providing isn't just end of life care. You're providing the whole experience of support throughout the entire journey and post.
Yeah.
Is that something you find people are kind of misunderstand?
Yeah, we definitely think that people do just associate us with end-of-life care.
Yeah.
And absolutely we are there for people at that time when they need us most.
Yeah.
But some people equally need us most at diagnosis as well, when they don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
And they've just been told that they've got cancer and they have lots of questions. So that is a big misconception, that we only help people at end of life. And actually that can be quite frightening for people as well, because if we step in right at the start when they are diagnosed, they might think essentially that they might die, and actually that's not always the case, as we now know. So it's important for us to try and kind of dispel some of those myths around the support that we give, really.
Have you noticed that your workload is increasing? I mean, we've talked about the fact that people are being diagnosed as more frequent diagnosis. Have you noticed that yourselves?
As Stacey said before, with coming sort of from the fundraising side, we obviously have great relationships with our services teams and the trusts, based locally for us, the Huddersfield and Calderdale. We have good relationships with those. For us, we know that we need to help to raise the money to be able to keep those services in place, because as I mentioned before, people are living longer with cancer, so for us to be able to keep supporting those, then we've got to obviously continue to raise that money. So we do look at it, as you said, from yes, more and more people are getting affected and being affected by cancer. So we really try our very best, don't we, to bring that money in.
Get more fundraising.
Yeah, absolutely. 99% of our income is from fundraising. It's although we are a very national charity, we have very local presences in the area, and to kind of get that home to people, we've got some great services locally to us, particularly, a lot of people have their treatments and it's not just in the area that they're in, so coming from Huddersfield or Halifax may actually travel to Leeds. So we have some great services in Yorkshire that we work hard to make sure that we can keep those services and make sure everybody's supported well.
What kind of services do you provide?
I think the main service that we are known for is the Macmillan nurses. Quite often, rather than being referred to as Macmillan Cancer Support, a lot of people do refer to us as Macmillan nurses. Yeah. And it's not just the nurses who provide the support to people who have cancer. We've got lots of other professionals as well. So we have dietitians and nutritionists, clinical psychologists, lots and lots of people who provide different types of support to people who need it. So all of those services are very important. But then also, quite unknown to a lot of people, is we can support people financially as well. So Macmillan, directly from our fundraising, provides grants to people. So we can also provide millions of pounds worth of benefits to people when they need it by unlocking those, helping them to fill out the forms, and really helping to support them to claim the benefits that they're entitled to. Because ultimately cancer does have a cost. So it's important for us to be there when people need us for that, really, as well. And again, we provide that emotional support as well. So quite often people will just want to come to us to talk, maybe have a cup of tea, talk through their options, or just tell us about how they're feeling, and that's really important, that we're there to listen as well. So ultimately we provide all of those different ways of supporting people.
I think sometimes you can feel like things are being done to you, and it's a nice sort of outlet to have somebody listen to what you would like. I think that makes a massive difference to patients.
It does, yes, absolutely. And like Adele said earlier, it's about being treated as an individual. So we try to work out what's important to that person and work with them to support them in the way that they need it most.
Now, you're telling me that 2 of your nurses have just received an award. Tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. So exciting.
So it was the Nursing Times Awards on the 30th of October. Now, it was actually a pilot scheme that was funded by Macmillan, based out of the Huddersfield Hospital, but obviously against Huddersfield Calderdale. They were based in A&E and the MAU unit,
Yep.
and sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the role, because there is quite a long title. The ladies are Julie and Helen. I mean, we went and met them because we were so interested to hear what they were doing, and although the pilot is sort of coming to a bit of an end, we were really excited to hear that they'd been nominated for this award, obviously being in our area, but when you spoke to them, they were just so amazing that I just wanted them to win just for the sheer passion. They've both been in palliative care for such a long time, so their experience from both of them was just immense. When you spoke to them, they knew exactly what needed to be, and the way that they sort of spoke to us, told us about what they were doing, and the pilot scheme involved people coming into hospital. They were sometimes coming into A&E, and it might have been that people were coming in 3 or 4 times getting admitted with like infections and things like that, and they were working with people to either get them back home or get them back into a hospital, working on sort of a palliative care package, if that was what it was needed, but getting them out of hospital and what they actually wanted. And they ended up winning the award, and I think it was Managing Long-Term Illnesses Award, which was just amazing. I was so chuffed for them, because it's just they so deserved it. They really, really did. And for Macmillan, that's a brilliant that they could come in and do that. And I'm sure there's a lot of stats and figures and things to come out at the end of it, but it sounds like it's been a very successful pilot, doesn't it?
It does, and just the presence that they've got and the respect that they command with the teams in the A&E department and in the medical assessment unit. But we also celebrate internally as well, because we've just had our Macmillan Professional Excellence Awards.
Right.
So that's been great as well, because there were people from around our region nominated for those. And then we've also just been nominating our volunteers for awards as well, because we want to recognise how important our professionals are, but also our volunteers who work alongside us and alongside the nurses and the professionals within the hospitals as well. So we really do rely on all of that support, because we don't have enough money for so many paid staff to help and support those services. So our volunteers are crucial.
And that kind of brings me to the last point, really. How can somebody help? Because volunteers are so integral to the charity's function. But how can somebody, if they don't have the time to volunteer, help you guys?
Okay, do you want to take that, or shall I? Some people, like our volunteers, have time to give, and that's absolutely brilliant, because that can help us in so many different ways. I've just been with a volunteer today who's been doing a supermarket collection, so they've been stood with a bucket in a supermarket, and again, like I said, those volunteers do often take lots of time to help and support the different events that are happening, not just in our region, but right across the UK. So we're very thankful to them. But also, like Adele says, we rely on 99% of our income to come from fundraising and donations. So lots of people donate to us, lots of people get involved by organising their own fundraising events, which is fantastic, because that's what we're here to support with. But also then other people get involved in all of the organised events that happen as well. So whether that be a Macmillan Mighty Hike, which I can tell you they're very tough. We've both done the Yorkshire Three Peaks, which was very challenging, but we raised money for that as well, didn't we? So perhaps they can get involved in that way by doing a little bit of fundraising, or getting involved in one of those fantastic challenges. We go on.
I was going to say probably we're probably best known for our Macmillan World's Biggest Coffee Morning.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, when are you going to mention the cake?
Everybody loves cake, and I think that's the thing. Not everybody has to put one of the coffee mornings on. Just buying a piece of cake on that day, really makes that difference, and it really, really does. And people have said to me, I've not done, I can't do my coffee morning this year. I was like, well, have you bought a piece of it? Well, yeah, then you've done something. And I think that's people recognising it doesn't, obviously it can be from the, a penny to whatever. It's, it's people that are recognising that, every penny helps us, and, for them to do something like that. I mean, most people like doing the coffee morning because it's our flagship event. It's great, you can get involved, you can do different things. But like Stacey says, we're very lucky in our area, particularly in Yorkshire, some of the great stuff that we do have going on, like some of the bigger events and things like that. So yeah, fundraising for us is obviously very, we're very passionate about that, to be able to, to carry on bringing in
because of the cake, isn't it? That's why
it
it
is.
is.
I knew it.
Someone said to me, you can have this job for cake. I'd do that.
The best one is when you get asked to judge a cake competition. I'm like,
wow. That sounds so harsh.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
And actually, you know, people might not really know how they might want to get involved because they might not have the time to volunteer, they might not necessarily want to organise their own event. But all that we'd say to that is get in touch and we'll have a look at, you know, what you're interested in, where your skills lie, and there might be something that actually you can really help us to do. And that's really important. It might be that we've got a little bit of a gap in skills or in one area particularly, and it might be that somebody can help out in that way. So however big or small it is, it doesn't matter because it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
and talking to me. It's been great. And I am expecting some cake.
You will,
course,
obviously.
yes.
No problem.
If you want to contact us about this or any other topic, our details are on the screen. I'm Emma Kirke. Goodbye for now.